Hey, hey, hey. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? How are you? I hope you guys had a great day today. I had a great day. It was busy and good. And I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight. Go ahead and share this feed. Share this feed and text a friend or two and tell them jump on. I think we're going to have a really important conversation. I think there are some things that have become very clear about where we are in the economy. And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out what to do. And I'm going to tell you right now, we don't need to be sitting around waiting for inflation to go down. Because that may or may not ever happen. What does have to happen is we have to get strategy and not look for the same thing that has possibly sustained us to sustain us in this new season. And during times of economic crisis, there's always huge opportunity to become very wealthy. So I'm about to bring on my good friend and sister, Benicia Poole Watson, who is killing the game right now financially. This woman owns her own bank. And I actually got apartment building that I was just funded by her bank, and she's doing some pretty amazing things. And so we're gonna have a wealth conversation tonight that I think is gonna help you to kind of shed some light on the opportunity that we have here, Yvette. So because we do have a huge opportunity, but I think the time to move is now. So I'm gonna bring Benicia on. Hey, beautiful, how you doing, girl?
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. So, I love we have this conversation. First of all, if you have not checked it out, we have a podcast called The Well Chat, and it is every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Where we're talking about business, banking, and finance. So we love to talk about this stuff on an ongoing basis. This is an ongoing conversation because there's a lot to unpack. So Benicia, of course, we're working on a lot of projects together. You're helping a lot of people right now. Let's cut to the chase because obviously, right now, we are, I think, in a full blown recession. I don't think we've seen the worst of it. And I think a lot of people are scared and trying to figure out, what their next move is going to be. What are you seeing right now? What would you say the state of the economy is in America, and particularly where people of color are concerned?
I think that we are in a state of divide. So they've been talking about this for years, guys. Just if you listen to podcasts, if you listen to people who speak futuristic, give advice on the financial space, they have said a long time ago there will be a divide. There will be people who can afford and people who can't afford. There will be no in between. There's going to be upper and there'll be low. There'll be no middle class, right? So we're moving to a space where either you don't have it or you have it. And a lot of people are who used to be considered middle class are now falling into the lower class or going into the lower level of middle class and not staying in an even plane. So, inflation is up. We experience the grocery, the food, and then we experience the car world. Every sector has their time and their place, and the housing market is going to be consistent. Okay. So, with the housing market right now, if you don't own anything, you are becoming farther and farther away from being able to achieve that. If you own something, you are growing expeditiously in your equity, and the balance, the scale is no longer like this. The scale is looking like this, where you're holding more equity in your property than you probably have in many, many, many years that we've experienced home ownerships. We have not had a growth such as what happened during COVID ever in the housing market. Inventory is at a low compared to the population. So with that being said, when the supply is not in abundance and the demand is still high, it causes the market to go up, meaning that the prices go up and they're going to stay up until it gets balanced out by having more supply. So what's going to cause more supply? More builders coming into the market building. So now we're seeing a lot of rent to own communities that used to be in certain pockets of the country. And now you see them popping up all over from Ohio to California. there's rent to own properties. From Miami to Texas, there are rent to own properties. So you'll see more of these higher hedge fund corporations building properties that are going to keep the division at this space where you'll continue to rent because you can't afford to buy.
It is crazy to me because you're right. If you're renting right now, you just really wealth is being pushed away from you. If you're owning a home, then you're growing in equity and you're going in the right direction. And so I definitely have a big concern for people that are renting because the rent prices are going crazy right now everywhere.
Yeah. But if you look at it, people are still paying rent. So it shows you that you have the financial ability. You just can't save money. You can't save money
Mm,
because you're putting it out. So are
mm,
people managing to pay that $1,800 rent, that $2,500 rent when it used to
yeah.
be only be, 15? Yeah, they're continuing to pay it because they're sacrificing one thing for another, or they're incorporating more ways to make money into their, traditional spaces, such as owning a business, starting a side gig, teaching courses or whatever people are doing hair, having a lash company, owning a boutique, getting into different multi-level marketing corporations so they can make residual income. So these are the things that people are turning into: driving Uber, DoorDash. More people are at home, ordering food than ever before. So people are driving Lyft, stuff like that, in order to offset the income that they don't get from their traditional jobs. So people are able to pay for this stuff, but they're just not able to save.
Yeah, I'm seeing more people have roommates as adults than ever.
Yep. You got people shacking up, people who want a divorce that can't because if they separate, they can't survive by themselves. They don't have the balance in the income. So as we continue to elevate and grow, we're already living in AI. Just imagine what's getting ready to happen to the world. So if you don't get on board with moving in the direction of where we are going, the nation is going, and the structure, then you're just going to get left behind. It's almost like living on dial up while everybody else is on Wi-Fi.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, and it's why, we decided to start Tavaverse because it's a huge need. Like, if your credit is not together, we're going to help you get your credit together. We've got the credit strategists on the personal side and the business side. We've got the banks. Benicia's bank is like, we pretty much know before we even send you to her bank whether or not you're going to get approved, right? Then we're going to help you find the off-market properties. Then we're going to make sure the systems are in place so that it's turnkey, so people aren't calling you for a stopped-up toilet, right? You don't
Yeah.
need another job. We want to put you in a position where you're cash flowing, and that part is really, really important. And so, if you're watching this right now, as a guest, I want to encourage you right now: get with the person that invited you live, because this is going to happen. You got to look at it like, Benicia, I feel like it's going to happen with or without them. So you got to make up in your mind that, you might be renting right now, but you need to get in a community where you can get the support, where your credit can get together, where you can get the funding so that I do see a little bit prices of real estate seem to be coming down a bit. Interest
Yes.
rates, of course, are still high, but prices are coming down, which is huge. My thought is, tell me what your thought. I don't think people need to wait for interest rates to lower. It might not lower till right before an election. If you can get a good deal on a property, you need to get the good deal. You don't need to be waiting for the perfect time. I think the perfect time is here.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Can you
You're
hear me?
absolutely, yeah, I can hear
Okay.
you now. You're absolutely right. The right time is right now. When you are owning real estate, it's a business decision. It's not an emotional decision. If you're driven by emotions, then you might need to pause and reevaluate why you're buying a house, why you're buying this investment property, why you're taking this cash out, because it's a business decision. In business, we know that numbers mean something, but numbers also can change. And when you refinance your house and pull cash out, or you make a purchase, you are dating the interest rate. You are married to the fact that it's a 30-year fix. You're married to the fact that it's a 15-year fixed loan, and that it will never change. So you'll forever own this property as long as you make the allocated monthly payments. But what can change and fluctuate is the interest rate. So if you're waiting for the right time for the market to go down to 3%, and oh my God, 4% is too high and 5% is just too much, and God forbid someone tell you it's a 7%, you're not ready for ownership, because those are things and those are numbers that can change. If you get into the situation with the purchase and tomorrow the rates change, you can refinance it tomorrow. There are no caps on how many times you can refinance per year, per quarter. This is dependent on you. Yes, there are fees involved, but in a business decision, you know that there are fees that you're going to have to pay. Nothing is for free. That's a business mindset. So if you just set yourself up properly to know, okay, if I do this today, what is my 6-month plan? What is my 12-month plan? And you project that out, then you'll make better decisions financially when you put all that stuff in order. So I always tell people right now is the time to buy. The time to buy was yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday, really. And then what I love, you know, and I learned this from you. I said, okay, Benicia, the apartment is done. Now I'm looking at the next apartment or the next multifamily. How long do I have to wait? You're like, you don't have to wait. Like, keep going. I think sometimes when people think in their mind that they're going to go into real estate, the first thing you got to do is get your credit together. Once we got the credit together, we're going to help you find the funding. But you don't need to have this mindset that it's going to take you 4 years to get 4 doors.
Yeah. Once you have the credit, the banks will start calling you. Once you become a bankable asset, the banks will start sending you credit cards. So when you become a hot commodity, you are in position to make better decisions and let people you get to choose versus someone you trying to choose somebody to do business with. They'll start choosing you and calling you. So also the prices of homes have dropped. I know Austin, Texas, they're down 10%. They came out in a report. In New Jersey, the prices of home are down 2.5% from last year. The state of Florida right now is down 9.55%. So when we're talking about the time to buy, it's right now. It's looking unstable to the average person's eye. But if you're savvy, if you're educated in financial information, then you'll realize that when the rates go higher, prices typically go lower because the demand drops off a little bit because the average mindset is like, uh-oh, the rates are too high. I'm not going to buy right now because I'm going to wait for a crash. There's a whole bunch of people who think that way. So they remove themselves out of the market and then homes stay on the market for a little bit longer. Or, you know, when I say a little bit longer, I mean a standard average of where we are today in 2023, not 85, 100 days, not 300 days, not 2 years on the market. Like we used to see houses sit on the market. We're talking about maybe 30 days versus being gone in 10 days, stuff like that. So, you know, it's just a lot going on with the banks, you know, doing what they did. They had a slight collapse of a couple banks that happened earlier in the year. You have stuff like that caused frenzy, the conversations amongst our crew and our people of what's happening in the housing market, but nobody's an expert. They're all just talking. But guess what? While we were all in our circles talking about what we thought the housing market was doing, Warren Buffett just invested in 3 housing builders, D.R. Horton and a couple other builders, Lennar Homes and Envy Homes. He just broke a massive amount of bread, billions of dollars, investing in these home building companies that are going to be building homes across the nation. So while we're in the groups, in our little bubbles, having these small time conversations, these multi-millionaire, billionaire people are planting seeds in the housing market that now we can't get access to because they're capitalizing on it. It's never going to trickle down to the little people unless we have the right conversations amongst each other with experts, not just people who think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's really good. I saw JP Morgan just put $1 billion. They're putting $1 billion.
$1 billion.
$1 billion. So, you know,
$1
billion, girl. I mean, they're set to be mega landlords. So that tells me that this is where we really need to be putting our time and attention, and not just, you know, you trying to buy your own home, which I definitely want you to do that too, but really like aggressively say, okay, not only I need to buy my own home, but I need to be aggressively becoming an investor. I'm seeing people, one of the things that we teach people, we talk a lot about strategy. We've got people that are buying 4plexes and moving in one and using the rent from the other 3 to pay their note. I mean, there's all kinds of creative things that you can do when you get in real estate, but the key is to get in. Now, somebody's asking about crowdfunding. I don't like crowdfunding because I feel like, by the time you divide it by thousands of people, your return on your ROI is very small. So I'm not a proponent of crowdfunding. What's your thought on that?
I think crowdfunding is a great way to get involved in something, but it is high risk because if whatever you invest in clearly doesn't turn a profit, then you're out of the dollars that you put in. I've seen some crowdfunding groups just disband. They had to file bankruptcy, and the people who invested didn't get their dollars back. So if you're going to invest in something, don't invest with your primary money. Invest with your Vegas money. Invest with the money that you can put into this and not worry about whether or not it's building until you get the check in the mail or you get the bill that says, okay, this is what we made in the last 30 days. This is what we made in the last 6 months. An investment should be the money that you're able to play with. And, but I think it's a good idea for certain things like, certain community driven activities and just allowing the smaller people to get involved. But overall, you have to really do your research on who you're investing in and be careful because a lot of the misconception is that you're going to get this huge profit, and sometimes it doesn't turn out like that.
Child, I won't say the name, but I invested
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I did, but yeah, it was a whole bust, and you're not going to be able to probably ever live off of it. Where if you go out and you buy a couple single families or multifamilies, you literally can set yourself up to be able to live off of those investments. And that's what I want people to be able to do. I want you to be able to replace your salary, replace, your job, really set yourself up to really become a real landlord. And prices right now are all-time low. There, certain cities where you can really get a nice Detroit and Flint are one of them. I'm going to be up there this week. Thursday and Friday. So if you guys are listening anywhere from Detroit or Flint area, or if you might want to fly in and look we've got some really amazing deals that you guys can actually bid on. So we want to make sure that you do that. Somebody said, do you accept
what?
Bank statement approval and funding?
Yes, we do accept bank statements only for self-employed borrowers and entrepreneurs. So you can qualify for home ownership, investment properties, refinancing with just your business bank statement. So absolutely.
Okay, that's good. That's good. The big thing is making sure your credit is together. And I know at your bank, you just have to have 580 or higher. But yeah, you want to get that credit score up there because that's going to give you the best possible interest rate. And that's one of the main things that we focus on here at Taviverse. We're going to make sure your credit is together, your business credit is together, your personal credit is together. And then we're going to make sure that we help you get approved. Benicia's Bank is one of our partners. And so we're going to make sure you get approved. We'll help you find off-market properties and then set up the system so that people aren't calling you about a stopped up toilet. And so, Benicia, when you got in real estate, you came into your first door, then 10 doors, then 15 doors. Were you surprised? Was it a hard process for you? Was it an easy process for you? What were you thinking as you were continuing to scale your portfolio?
So it was essentially my first step was the hardest, right? Because you're buying your first house, you don't know what to expect. The fear is rejection. They tell you no. But as long as you have your credit in order, as long as you have your down payment and you have stable income, you pretty much can flow through the process. The most important piece of home ownership is to make sure that you respond when they ask you. These people are in control of your yes, right? So you're going to have to respond when the underwriters reach out to you, respond when your loan officer is asking you to do certain things. If they're asking you questions, these questions don't go away. So this is the experience of the first time home buyer. You have to be prepared to answer questions and open up. You have to be an open book when you're asking someone to loan you $200, $400, $800,000, for your investment that you believe in, not theirs. So you're painting a picture for the people behind the curtain. And I think that's the hardest part. But once you get past that and you understand the process, no two processes are ever going to be the same. Even if you bought at the same time, this experience may not be exactly like this experience with your purchase, but at least you have a general idea that, hey, look, I know they're going to ask me some questions, so I'm going to be open and prepared. Once you get into that mindset, it gets a little bit easier. As long as you maintain your financial fingerprint, meaning your credit score. You don't overwhelm yourself with too much debt, because the debt to income ratio is a factor. So if you make a certain amount of money, but you're also putting out this amount of money, and it's like this, then you're not ready for home ownership. Your debt to income ratio has to be lower than what you're bringing in, right? So what you're pushing out has to be significantly lower than what your income is that you're bringing in. So if you have credit cards, just make sure that you keep them below 30% on the balance. That's a key piece of information when you're trying to boost your credit score or increase your chances for home ownership. Make sure your debt is low. Those things like that make this transition, a smoother process. And just understanding that while I'm asking someone to loan me some money, they're definitely going to dig into all of my financial business. So if I pay child support, if I receive child support, if I'm paying for my kids to go to college, if I'm paying for somebody's car note, if I co-sign for a cousin or a brother, if I have someone living with me and I've been giving them money, if they're on some kind of like you have a girlfriend, you have a wife or whatever, and you're paying some of her bills. When they look at your bank statement, these are the things that they're looking for. They're looking for your transmissions, because people don't tell everything. They omit some things because maybe they didn't realize that they had to tell. Maybe they don't want to tell because they don't want anybody to know. The stuff like that, the more that they find that looks inconclusive when it comes to like, what is this? You didn't tell me about this. The lower your chances get for qualifying for the process. So just make sure that you are open book, that you're financially savvy, and to say, okay, if I need you to collect your mortgage statements, I know where to go get it. If I need you to collect your 401k documents, you need to know where to go get it. If you have to call your human resources to find out your password and how to get in, you're already setting yourself up for delay, because if you're trying to hit a close date, all that stuff in the middle matters. Your tax returns, make sure they're filed. That is important and imperative. If you're filing taxes and you don't have your stuff in the trust, make sure that your taxes are in order, because if they are not in order, you may present a challenge when it gets to going to the bank, because they're not going to give you any money with your taxes not being filed. You have to have all that stuff in order. Even if you're on an installment plan, that's okay. But for me, just going through those kind of processes made me better to understand like what I have to do to get to my finish line. And it made the process smoother. It got to the point where I started paying cash, because sometimes you just don't want to deal with the bank. You don't want to deal with the going back and forth and the rejection. So sometimes if you have it and you want to buy a piece of land, if you have the money, just buy it. Because once you own that land, now essentially some of these properties you can use as collateral, and you didn't incorporate a bank. You didn't have to go through the process. You didn't have to go through the back and forth. So a lot of stuff I just started buying cash because I just didn't feel like dealing with it.
Right. I love it. No, that's good. And I think, there'll be some people that can do that, especially if you're on a lower amount, right? But I do find if you're going to start getting into those multiple $1 million properties, you're going to have to use the bank's money. And I'm glad you talked about that with the docs, because that's one of the things that we really teach is making sure those systems are together, making sure the docs are together, your taxes. If you haven't filed taxes, what entity do you want to put these things in? We're literally going to help you with all of these steps. You need to know what are the comps in the area. You need to know, is this going to be a good buy and flip deal, or is this going to be a buy and hold where I put tenants in it? I mean, these are all the things that our community here at Taviverse that we talk about. Benicia, this was so good tonight, girl. I can't believe we've been on here 30 minutes already.
I know.
Listen, what I want to encourage you guys to do that are watching, get back with the person that invited you on here. Let them know, hey, I need to come into this community. The conversations that they were having was amazing. You can refi your home and use that money for whatever you want to use that money for. Who would be the last person, or the last thing that you'll tell somebody on here? Maybe this, I lost her. All right. So I was going to tell her, ask her what would be the last thing that she would tell somebody that is brand new investing or been investing. Keep doing it. Keep going. Okay, she's back. All right, girl, tell us last words real quick. What would you tell somebody on here right now that is really just kind of on the brink? I'm going to be right back. You go ahead, tell them.
Okay, I have two things. So on the brink, educate yourself. If you are scared, if you're nervous, if you're unsure, you need to start with a little bit more education. Don't jump into anything that you don't know anything about. It will be the worst decision that you could ever make, because in the event that you get into something and maybe the air conditioner breaks, the roof does something weird, you have a hailstorm, what you don't want to do is be lost in the sauce. So make sure that you are getting involved with Taviverse. Make sure that you're taking those education pieces. Make sure that you are learning essentially before you take that deep dive. Because once you get in the water, it's like there's nothing that's going to help you. Okay. There's nothing that's going to help you besides you once you're in the weeds. Another thing is I wanted to leave, and I don't want to leave out my seniors. We all have elderly parents, people who are getting older. Maybe you have your grandparents, maybe it's your direct parents, maybe it's your spouse's parents, a friend's parents that are getting older. And I want to educate people on reverse mortgages, because once you hit to senior citizen age, you are eligible for equity in your property, to tap into your equity in your property. So back in the day, reverse mortgages for seniors were kind of predatory. They would take advantage of the senior citizens, and some people would lose their homes, right? Today in 2023, that program has been restructured. And so seniors are able to take out their equity at no cost to them. And that equity actually will pay you for the rest of your life. So you will receive monthly installment payments instead of you paying a mortgage, or your parents paying a mortgage, or your grandparents paying a mortgage. That home that they own, as long as they have equity in the property, can pay them. So they'll either receive installments or they can take a lump sum of their money. So now they have money to do quality of life. They're not living paycheck to paycheck. They are not, suffering with home health care, which is not a covered medical expense. They're not suffering with just having the money that it takes to live in 2023 today that they may not get from their disability checks or their retirement checks and stuff like that. So look at the reverse mortgage. We do that program, and it allows you to tap into your equity and build based on what you've already put in. Okay, so if you have any questions, you guys can reach out to me. Jewel's offline right now, and so you can go straight to the bank. It is called Prime One Home Loans. Prime One Home Loans. So you spell out the number one, and then on Prime One Home Loans website, there is a phone number. So you can essentially reach out, have your questions answered 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, and talk to someone with your questions if you have special circumstance, or you can just come to my Instagram and shoot me a message, and somebody will reply to if it's not me. But I wanted to tap in with the seniors too, because we don't want to forget them. They are an important part of what we are doing right now, and they're the ones that are suffering the most. While we're paying $13 for eggs, just imagine what they're going through. And they're sitting in these homes that they've been in for 20 years and never pulled equity out. So pay yourself back, get your parents to pay themselves back with the reverse mortgage. And also with the reverse mortgage, you can assign someone as the next of kin. So they'll receive equity installment payments for the rest of their life until they pass. And when they pass, the home is automatically set up to go to whoever is designated that they put on the paperwork, automatically transferred to that person. So now you're not getting lost in the sauce with estate sales and stuff like that. So if you are a senior, take advantage of this program. It's definitely a great program.
That is so good, girl. Oh my gosh, this sauce was so good tonight. Guys, listen, Bonisha, thank you, sister, for jumping on here. Get back with the person that invited you on here. Let them know, hey, I'm ready to get started. I need to invest. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what you get here at Taviverse. We're going to make sure that you are really educated so that you can make quality decisions and start investing today. Don't wait till 2024. Start now. Take advantage, I think, of the largest wealth transfer the world has ever seen, because listen, the money is moving. You just got to make sure that you're in position. So, Bonisha, thanks for coming on tonight, sis. All right, you guys, have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.